friends, welcome to my channel. Today I thought I'd give you an update on 3 projects that I worked on this year in the garden. For my small garden, they were pretty big projects and they've had a huge impact on my garden. So it is autumn, it is breezy, it is a crisp, cool morning. I am loving it. And I thought it was a great time to show you the space, what it looks like before winter, what are some of my ideas as we prepare for next growing season, and just what I think about the projects now that I've lived with them for a couple months. I'll show you some behind the scenes in case you missed the full playlist of videos, but I thought it's always fun to kind of recap the year. And there were 3 big projects that I worked on this year. So if you're new to the channel, I'm Lori. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a Zone 7B garden located in Maryland. And I'm just excited to walk the garden with you today and focus on 3 projects. So the 3 main areas that I tackled in my garden this year, this was the first one. And we actually started this garden project last year in November. So it's been almost a full year of prepping, planning, and working on this space. Now, the second space is my shade garden extension project. Many of you may have already seen that, but I'll show you and tell you how it's coming along. And the last project was most recently adding a raised bed garden. And I think that's the absolute biggest transformation of the year for my garden, and probably in my garden as a whole. The space looks like it was always there, and I think that's the key when you add or change something in your garden. So let me turn the camera around. We're just gonna walk and talk. I wanna just give you an update on the space, how I'm feeling about it, how I'm enjoying it, anything that I've learned that might help you if you're considering some garden transformations this fall, winter, or for next year. So it's a beautiful morning. Hopefully the light, I think it's gonna cooperate with us. So let's get started. So to get started, I think it's good to see this entire garden space. So as you come over, this is a quadrant, and then all along this side is a perennial border. And then of course along the driveway, I have another bed. Now, up until last November, this was filled with raised bed boxes. And what I decided is I didn't like the mess in the garden, and I felt like something was missing. I felt like the 2 squares here needed to be flower beds. So 2 years ago, I converted this bed here to a perennial garden. So it's a little further along in its development, and I absolutely loved it. So last November, a year ago, we converted this side. It took me a while to let go of having the idea of having fresh cut flowers all the time. Now, I still grew dahlias this year, and I still had them throughout the garden, but I really felt like this space needed to be a perennial garden. And I felt like it would look neater, which I like a neat garden, and it would give me winter interest. So we started the garden project, of course, by just cleaning up the space, and then I had lots of plants that I transplanted from other parts of the garden. The magnolia tree here, this is a Jane magnolia, was already here. We had already added the juniper trees in the back, so it already had some structure. But I started by just transplanting a lot of plants that I already had in my garden space. This year, though, I have fully continued to add to this garden and modify it to really bring it to life. You can see right now, there is my shadow. I have a quick fire fab hydrangea here that is just going to bring some gorgeous structure to the garden. So this garden space is filled with veronica and grasses and low little hydrangeas. It has some boxwoods for structure. And just recently, I added this gorgeous hedge of Walker's Low, Nepeta, catmint, as well as some lavender. I also punctuated the ends with a sting arborvitae that's going to get tall but skinny. And on my birthday this year, we added this gorgeous container that I think is a real centerpiece. This garden space is larger than the one behind me, and I felt like it needed something in the center, and I really didn't want to do like a tree. So adding this container has just allowed me to add that seasonal interest, and it has definitely been a stunning feature. You can see a flopped dahlia. I've left this one so that I can pull the tubers out. She kept growing, but we had storms last night and she flopped over. So I think this corner has just turned out wonderful. Do I have any regrets? No. I am so happy with it. Well, I guess I should take that back. My only regret was that I didn't have a space to really grow cut flowers the way they should be grown. And so I struggled with that all season, but I had a solution in my head and I did bring it to life. We'll talk about that in my number 3 project. So my second project this year was the shade garden expansion. This project, I have 3 videos about it. It was just an idea that I had kind of out of the blue in thinking about this space and how it originally just kind of stopped. And I also wanted to be able to plant back in this area. So I've named this Hydrangea Hill. I have some oak leaf hydrangeas, another serrata hydrangea, and I'm hoping that it's going to be stunning in, a couple years. But what I wanted this to do was really allow you to walk through the garden and enjoy, to be able to view the plants and then to come and enjoy sitting underneath our gorgeous holly tree. So I had this vintage bench already, and I thought it would be the perfect ending to this space to be able to just sit and enjoy the garden for a minute. Lots of gardens that I visit often will have paths that lead to a stopping point, and they might lead to a sitting area, a little table, or a bench. Now, many of you have suggested that I continue it out into the driveway. And at one point I said I was going to do that, and I thought about it, and I've thought about it, and I've thought about it. And I really don't want to constantly enter this garden from the driveway. I want this garden to maintain how it feels to walk through from the little floral studio, under the arbor, back to the back, and curve around to this spot. I want to keep it a little magical. The second reason is the sweet girls that live in my neighborhood love to visit this, and they call it the secret garden. I have little fairies for them in my fairy box, and so they love to come wander and they come sit. And I just want to keep that secret special part of this garden space. So this year we added this pathway. We added the hydrangeas. I did have some help to do this, and then I've been planting kind of all around. Now this space will be filled with daffodils. I've got lots more to add to this part of the garden. And you may see something new sitting up on the hill. So this is not new. Let me turn the camera around and show you more of this garden. So as you enter the shade garden, you naturally now see that there's somewhere that the path leads. And of course, the path leads you to the sweet bench that will be surrounded with beautiful containers next year filled with gorgeous shade annuals. And you get to sit under this old English holly tree and listen to the chimes. It's really a magical sweet spot. So originally, of course, there was nothing there. And so as you walk along the path, you're able to walk through the garden. And as you come through, you then wind your way to the back. So I'm in love with this space. I'm really happy with it. So there really aren't any changes that I would make with this project. I'm really happy with it. I of course wanted the brick and the gravel to match what was already here. As I've shared, I am not going to continue it, which was a change that I thought I might add. I think the biggest change that I'm making with this space is this was a large raised, it's like a 90-foot raised garden box that I used to have at the end of the driveway. And we took it out for another project that I'm really happy with. And it was back in our backyard. And my son and I were looking at it and thought that we could resurrect it. It has a beautiful metal frame, but some of the wood on the inside was rotted. What we're gonna do is get some new wood to put in there, and we're actually gonna put some holes for water drainage and just really make it nice. I also wanna stain it to match our fence. So my idea was to put it at the top of this hill, and I'm not gonna plant it now, but in the spring, I am going to fill it to the gills with a mix of perennials, hostas ferns, some shrubs, and then I'll pop in some annuals. I think it can be kind of like a large window box in this shade garden. A shade garden doesn't have a lot of height unless you have a lot of trees. In my case, my trees are huge. I don't have any of that middle level. So I think it's going to be fun to play with this box and just create a beautiful backdrop for this garden space. Now, as these hydrangeas get larger, I may have to move the box back. No worries there, but I think it's going to just be a fun project for me. And then I'm going to continue to add plants in this garden space. This section is relatively new, so I'm trying to let things fill out and grow. And in the spring, I'm going to give this area a ton of rich compost and fertilizer. This area, the soil is pretty compact, and so I think it just needs a little bit more rejuvenation, and I think everything is going to take off. So this was a project absolutely worth doing. It only cost probably, with some plants, maybe $1,000. I did have to hire some people to help me with the path, and I added some plants, which were a little more expensive because they were larger hydrangeas. But overall, I recycled bricks. We did have to get the gravel. Love this space, and I think it really brings this garden to life. So I think a lesson or a takeaway would be, if you have an area of your garden that maybe is really deep, consider, could you add a path? You could do stepping stones. I recently visited a garden. It's the NC State Garden in Raleigh, North Carolina. And they have some long perennial borders, and they actually have some stepping stones where you can walk through the garden, but it also allows the people that are working to work through the garden. But it made me really think, if you have a super deep garden space, think about having those stepping stones throughout. It can just give a natural flow to your garden space. So project number 2, absolute success. I'm excited to see how this area progresses. I want to add some more containers. I've got lots of ideas. We'll see how they come together next year. So it is definitely chilly. Let's go look at number 3, which I think is the biggest transformation of the year. So this is my newest garden project, and it probably is what has made the biggest impact in my garden. So this is my new raised garden space. So as I shared earlier, when I got rid of my raised garden boxes, I really missed this year growing my dahlias all together, growing snapdragons, and just all the zinnias and all the cut flowers. I tried doing them in containers. I tried popping them in the garden, but it just wasn't the same. I also have a beautiful floral studio right here where I love to make arrangements and bouquets to gift to people. And I just didn't feel like that was really flowing this year. So this space is at the very end of our driveway. And we had a raised bed box here. It was full of strawberries and other items. It had a gorgeous arbor, which is actually this same arbor. So this arbor is from Gardener's Supply. The boxes are all from Vigo. And I had this large box down on our patio. And as you know, if you watched this video, I did not like the box down there. And this was no man's land. So in my garden, it was full of plants that were just kind of stuck back there. It had no purpose. And once I measured the space, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have like 8 feet and about 12 feet wide of space that I'm not utilizing. So my brain got to work. I started mapping it out, and now we have a raised garden space. Now it's small, but it is absolutely manageable. I'm gonna be able to grow exactly what I wanna grow, and I'm gonna be able to enjoy it. I think the other benefit is, in the winter, I'm not gonna mind at the end of the driveway that there's nothing in these boxes. That is okay. And actually, there's a lot in these boxes for the spring. So I've already planted cold hardy annuals in this space, and lots of seeds that are coming up already. Now I'm struggling to keep the squirrels out, so I have ordered some hoops with squirrel bird netting, and I am gonna put that on. I know it's not gonna look pretty, but I wanna give these seedlings a chance. I also got a frost cover for the hoops. These are all hardy annuals and should do fine. There's a couple that are kind of iffy. So I think for any strong icy or snow days, I'm gonna put that frost cloth out to really help make sure the roots stay fresh and beautiful. So overall, I could not be happier with this project. I love this large bed with the arch. I have a small bed back here that Vigo sent me, and it's the perfect size to grow like 6 dahlias, just enough. So this arbor ended up fitting the Vigo 83-inch bed perfectly, and I'm gonna have a huge rose growing. There's already a rose growing here, one on the other side. I think that's gonna be stunning. And then just full of a variety of cut flowers that I can enjoy, and I can just tinker and play back here. We did the gravel so it matches the shade garden, and I left this area open. I have a basket getting in my way, but I love that this space is open. I have a working bench. I can add some containers. It's just so much fun. We are going to add another probably tree back here, maybe a couple of the skinny arborvitaes. And these arborvitaes are doing okay. We've had some drip issues, so we've had to fix that. But I just absolutely love the space. I have a bench on the side where I can keep some of my tools and things, and overall, really, really happy that I made this space that was completely unusable into a beautiful, usable garden. So for this growing season, it's so fun to look back and to think about these 3 projects and how they evolved over time and over a need that I had in the garden. So the main flower bed, that is a project we started last year, and I just kind of put the icing on the cake just a couple weeks ago with adding the hedge. I think that garden space is set just for minor tweaks and changes, but I'm really happy with it. The shade garden was kind of a fun project. It was a project that I just dreamed up, and I thought this is going to be really easy and add lots of beauty. And then the raised garden bed project was really out of a desire and need to still have cut flowers, and also to transform a space that was absolutely no man's. I could never figure out what to do with it. And sometimes things just have to come and evolve as they will. Isn't that how life goes? So I hope you've enjoyed recapping these 3 garden projects, and I'll link all the videos below if you want to go back and watch the full transformation. But I want to thank you so much for watching today, for supporting my channel. If you are new here, I would love to have you click subscribe and like and get notification of my future videos. So do I have anything else planned for next year? Well, we'll see about that. I love change. I love being innovative and having fresh ideas. So I've got some things up my sleeve, so we'll share those in a future video. Bye, everybody.